Admiral Reyes moves to Lieutenant Commander Zhang's station with practiced efficiency, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the quantum detection grid. Confirmed signatures of 300 vessels, sir, Zhang reports, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. Configuration matches what we extracted from the scout ship we captured near Saturn last year. Time to Earth. Reyes asks, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. At current velocity, 72 hours until they reach Luna's orbit. Reyes nods once, decision made. Initiate Protocol Thunderhead. Notify all SHIELD installations worldwide. And get me a direct line to the Security Council. Throughout the mountain complex, klaxons sound as personnel rush to their stations. Blast doors seal with pneumatic hisses, and dormant systems activate after years of waiting. In her office, Director Vasquez reviews the final confirmation with a strange mixture of dread and satisfaction. For 3 decades, she had dedicated her life to preparing for this moment, sacrificing personal relationships and enduring the mockery of those who believed alien contact was merely science fiction. 20,000 miles above, NASA's weather satellite, Cronus II, silently rotates its primary sensor array, capturing detailed scans of the approaching armada. The data confirms what SHIELD already knows. This is no exploration fleet or diplomatic mission. The configuration of the vessels, with their forward weapon arrays and flanking support craft, can only mean one thing: invasion. On the bridge of the hegemony flagship Inevitable Dominance, Supreme Overlord Xanthar reviews the final conquest plan. His 4 eyes blink in sequence as he studies the holographic representation of the blue planet. Their primitive detection systems will not register our approach until we are within their lunar orbit, assures Grand Strategist Krull, the spines along his ridge pulsing with confidence. As with all Class C worlds, we recommend a standard 3-phase subjugation: orbital bombardment of military installations, deployment of ground forces to secure resource centers, and establishment of processing facilities. Xanthar gestures approval with his upper limbs. The Council expects this operation to be completed within 1 planetary rotation. Commander Vexorian has proven himself capable in the Arcturus campaign. This should provide him with sufficient experience while requiring minimal resources. In his private quarters, Commander Vexorian reviews the intelligence reports on the target world. The humans fascinate him in a way he doesn't fully understand. Unlike other species encountered by the hegemony, these creatures seem paradoxical, simultaneously cooperative and adversarial, capable of remarkable compassion and horrific violence, technologically advancing, yet still bound by primitive social structures. Something troubles you, Commander. His second-in-command, Trazak, enters silently. These humans, Vexorian replies, studying footage of an Earth war from their historical archives. They fight with such creativity. Look how they adapt when conventional tactics fail. Trazak makes a dismissive sound. All species resist initially. Their creativity will make them valuable workers once properly subjugated. Vexorian isn't convinced but says nothing more. His orders are clear. Secure the planet with minimal damage to its resources and infrastructure. The inhabitants themselves are considered incidental. Back on Earth, in the Oval Office, the President of the United States receives the classified briefing with remarkable composure. So the protocols Dr. Vasquez's predecessor established in 1947 were justified. She says, studying the images of the approaching fleet. Yes, Madam President, the National Security Advisor confirms. SHIELD has been preparing for this possibility for generations. The question now is whether we reveal the truth to the public or activate our defenses covertly. The President stands, moving to the window to look at the clear blue sky. A sky that would soon be a battlefield. Inform the other members of the Security Council that I'm invoking Article 7 of the Secret Treaty. It's time to show these visitors what humanity is truly capable of. The emergency session of the United Nations Security Council erupts into controlled chaos as Dr. Vasquez concludes her presentation. Representatives from various nations voiced their demands simultaneously, their faces displaying shock, anger, and disbelief in equal measure. Silence. The Secretary General's voice cuts through the noise. Dr. Vasquez, you claim this organization, HFY, has operated in secret for nearly 8 decades without oversight from any recognized international body. Elena Vasquez stands unruffled, her silver-streaked hair pulled back in a severe bun. Not without oversight, Mr. Secretary. HFY operates under the authority of the Omega Protocol, signed by the original Security Council members following the Roswell incident. Every Secretary General since 1947 has been briefed upon taking office. The Chinese representative leans forward. And you expect us to believe that humanity possesses technology capable of defeating an interstellar empire? General Chen steps forward, activating a small device on his wrist. The room's lights dim as a holographic display materializes in the center of the chamber. This is footage from our lunar defense outpost, he explains, recorded 3 months ago during our counter-operation against a hegemony scouting party. The footage shows sleek, unmarked vessels engaging with alien craft near the dark side of the moon. The Earth ships move with impossible agility, their weapons slicing through the alien shields with precision. Those aren't public military vessels, the French representative states, eyes wide. No, Chen confirms. These ships were developed using reverse-engineered technology from crashed hegemony vessels. We've maintained the appearance of conventional aerospace development while secretly advancing centuries beyond what the public, or the hegemony, believes possible. In her private quarters aboard the orbital command station Zeus, Lieutenant Jessica Okonkwo reviews the combat simulations one final time. As squadron leader for Eagle Flight, she'll be among the first to engage the hegemony's vanguard when they cross the Mars defensive line. Nervous? Asks her wingman, Captain Raj Patel, leaning against the doorframe. Jessica shakes her head, dark eyes fixed on the projection. Not nervous, just trying to anticipate their adaptations. The hegemony hasn't faced real resistance in over 300 years according to the intelligence briefing. They'll be overconfident, but that won't last. Raj nods, his expression solemn. My grandfather was part of the original HFY team in Mumbai. He died believing the world would never know about his contributions to humanity's defense. After today, Jessica replies, everyone will know. Throughout Earth, hidden installations activate as the truth spreads among government officials. In the Mariana Trench, enormous hangar doors slide open for the first time in decades, releasing advanced submersible carriers. Beneath the Antarctic ice shelf, thermal lances melt tunnels for launch vehicles. In desert regions and mountain ranges, what appeared to be ordinary terrain shimmers as camouflage fields deactivate. Commander Vexorian's tactical meeting is interrupted as his communication officer bursts onto the bridge, mandibles clicking in agitation. Report. Vexorian orders, noting the officer's distress. Commander, we've lost contact with our advanced scouts in the target system. The officer explains. Last transmission indicated they were engaged by unidentified vessels near the 4th planet. Impossible. Trazek interjects. Our intelligence indicates the humans have no military presence beyond their lunar satellite. Vexorian's inner eyelids narrow suspiciously. Show me the final transmission. The view screen activates, displaying the chaotic final moments from a scout ship. Through the static and distortion, they glimpse sleek vessels that don't match any known human design, moving with precision that belies their supposed technological level. Enhance Sector 4, Vexorian orders. The image zooms in, revealing a symbol on one of the attacking ships, an emblem combining Earth's continents with a shield and stars. Prepare the fleet for potential resistance, Vexorian commands, a cold sensation settling in his thorax. And send a message to Supreme Overlord Xanthar. The intelligence assessment of this world may be incomplete. As the message transmits across light years, President Adebayo addresses the world from the Oval Office, her voice calm and resolute. Citizens of Earth, for generations we have looked to the stars with wonder, asking if we are alone in the universe. Today I confirm that we are not, and that humanity has been preparing for this moment for longer than most of you have been alive. The threat approaching our world will test us, but it will find that humans are not the primitive species they believe us to be. Dr. Kenji Tanaka moves through the underground facility with purpose, checking readouts on his tablet as technicians make final adjustments to the quantum gravitational inverter. The massive machine pulses with a soft blue light, the miniature artificial sun at its core fluctuating in perfect rhythm. Status report. He asks his chief engineer, Dr. Sophia Rousseau. All systems nominal, she replies, brushing a lock of auburn hair from her face. The containment field is stable at 99.7% efficiency. If we need to deploy, we can channel enough energy to disable any ship in near-Earth orbit without atmospheric disruption. Kenji nods, making a notation on his tablet. And the satellite uplink. Synchronized with all 17 other facilities, we can coordinate a global response in under 3 seconds. Similar conversations echo through hidden installations across the planet. Beneath Lake Baikal in Russia, Colonel Petrov supervises the activation of gravity manipulation arrays. In the caverns below the Amazon rainforest, Brazilian scientists calibrate atmospheric defense shields designed to protect population centers from orbital bombardment. For decades, these facilities have operated in absolute secrecy, their power requirements disguised as research installations or manufacturing plants. The scientists and military personnel assigned to them lived double lives. Their families told they worked on classified but conventional projects. On the main view screen in the Mount Fuji facility, President Adebayo's address continues. The deception we maintained was necessary. Had we revealed our true technological advancement, the hegemony would have sent a far larger invasion force. Instead, they have dispatched what they consider a minimal contingent, believing Earth to be defenseless. In his private quarters, Vaxorian reviews historical footage of human conflicts with growing concern. The Earth's World War II ended nearly 80 years ago by their calendar, yet the tactics displayed showed remarkable adaptability. More concerning were more recent conflicts, surgical strikes using stealth technology, precision munitions capable of penetrating hardened targets, and electronic warfare that suggested sophisticated understanding of signal disruption. Commander, Trazek interrupts his study. The full battle group has assembled. We await your orders to proceed. Vexorian deactivates the display. Have our long-range scanners detected any defensive measures beyond their lunar orbit? Nothing significant. Their orbital platforms appear to be primitive communication satellites and observation equipment. No weapons signatures detected. That troubles me, Vexorian admits. A species that fights itself with such creativity should have some orbital defenses, regardless of technological limitations. Trazek's mandibles click in what passes for amusement among his subspecies. Perhaps they exhaust their creativity fighting each other. Many primitive species do. Perhaps, Vexorian concedes, though unconvinced. Advance the fleet to the outer edge of their asteroid belt. Deploy sensor drones ahead of the main formation. I want detailed scans of all approaches to the target world. In S.H.I.E.L.D.'s Global Command Center, newly relocated from beneath the Rocky Mountains to the more secure Cheyenne Mountain Complex, Dr. Vasquez watches the alien fleet's movements on the primary tactical display. They're being cautious, General Chen observes, deploying sensor arrays ahead of their main force. Good, Vasquez replies. Let them scan. All they'll detect are our decoy systems and conventional defenses. The planetary shield grid remains dormant, and our lunar installations are still under phase shift. A junior officer approaches with a tablet. Director, we're receiving confirmation from all 17 quantum gravitational facilities. Operation Solar Flare is ready for initiation on your command. Vasquez accepts the tablet, reviewing the status reports with practiced efficiency, and our deep space assets. The Jupiter Defense Platform reports ready status. Mars perimeter is fully operational. Asteroid belt mines are armed and tracking. Chen studies the holographic representation of the solar system, where blue indicators represent Earth's hidden defenses surrounding the approaching red mass of the hegemony fleet. "We've been preparing for this moment for 80 years, he says quietly. "I almost feel sorry for them." "Save your sympathy," Vasquez replies, her expression hardening. "The hegemony has conquered 37 civilizations before us, species that weren't fortunate enough to receive warning through crashed scout ships. We know from the recovered databases what happens to worlds that resist, and to those that surrender." Throughout Earth, civilians watch President Adebayo's address with reactions ranging from disbelief to terror to strange exhilaration. In Tokyo, crowds gather beneath massive screens in silent awe. In New York, people embrace strangers in the streets, united by the revelation that humanity stands at a historic crossroads. Today, the president concludes, her voice steady and resolute, "We reveal ourselves not as the primitive beings they believe us to be, but as the defenders of our world and perhaps, ultimately, the liberators of others." Captain Vexrilia stands on the bridge of the assault cruiser Inevitable Conquest, mandibles clicking in anticipation as her vessel leads the vanguard toward the fourth planet of the system. As the daughter of the fleet commander, she feels the weight of expectation heavily upon her carapace. "Sensor sweep complete, Captain," reports her tactical officer. No signs of defensive installations on the planet's surface or in orbit. Curious, she muses, compound eyes studying the red planet. Intelligence indicated they had attempted rudimentary exploration of this world. "I expected at least primitive research outposts. Perhaps their attempts failed," suggests her second-in-command. Vexrilia signals acknowledgement with a flutter of her upper limbs. "Proceed with standard approach. Neutralize any satellites or debris in our path." The vanguard of 20 ships advances past the asteroid belt, propulsion systems leaving faint blue trails against the blackness of space. On the tactical display, Mars grows larger, a rust-colored orb seemingly devoid of activity. Inside Olympus Base, buried beneath the Martian surface, Colonel Darius Williams watches the approach of the hegemony vessels. The massive underground installation, officially documented as a failed colonization attempt abandoned 15 years ago, houses 2,000 of Earth's most elite space combat personnel. "They're following the exact approach vector we predicted," his tactical officer reports. "No deviation." Darius nods, dark eyes never leaving the display. "Time to intercept." 3 minutes, sir. Planetary defense grid is charged and ready. All personnel are at combat stations. Throughout the hidden base, Marines in advanced combat suits check their weapons one final time. In launch bays, pilots run pre-flight sequences on fighters designed with technology reversed engineered from captured alien craft. These men and women have trained for this moment their entire careers, in facilities hidden from public knowledge. "Open a channel to Shield Command," Darius orders. Dr. Vasquez's face appears on the communication screen. "Colonel Williams, the hegemony vanguard has crossed the engagement threshold." "Confirmed, Director. Requesting final authorization to engage." "Authorization granted. Remember your objectives, Colonel. We need to eliminate enough of their advance force to be convincing, while allowing Commander Vexorian to believe he still has sufficient strength to proceed to Earth." "Understood, ma'am." Williams out. He turns to his combat controller. "Initiate Operation Red Sands. Primary targets only." Throughout the Martian landscape, the dusty surface begins to shift. What appeared to be natural formations, rock outcroppings, crater rims, ancient river deltas, slide apart to reveal concealed weapon emplacements. On Olympus Mons, an entire section of the mountainside shimmers before disappearing entirely, revealing a massive hangar bay. Aboard the Inevitable Conquest, alarms suddenly blare. "Captain," the sensor officer calls out, voice rising in pitch. Multiple energy signatures activating on the planet's surface. "Impossible," Vexrilia responds, but her denial is cut short as the first salvo of quantum-phased missiles launches from the Martian surface. Designed specifically to bypass hegemony shield frequencies, the projectiles phase partially into subspace before rematerializing inside the shields of their targets. The inevitable conquest shudders violently as 3 missiles penetrate its defenses, detonating within the ship's propulsion section. Secondary explosions cascade through the vessel as Vex'Rilia struggles to maintain her footing. "Return fire," she orders. "Target those launch sites." But before her gunners can respond, a second wave of attacks emerges, not from the planet, but from what appeared to be asteroid debris. Dozens of stealth fighters, painted the same dusty red as Mars itself, decloak and engage the alien vessels at point-blank range. In his command ship, still positioned at the edge of the asteroid belt, Commander Vexorian watches in horror as the tactical display shows his daughter's vessel breaking apart under the human assault. "Get me a communication channel to the Vanguard," he demands. Unable to establish contact, "Commander," his communications officer responds. "They're experiencing massive system failures. Our scans indicate weapons technology unlike anything in our databases." On the main view screen, the inevitable conquest splits in two, secondary explosions blossoming along its hull before the reactor containment fails, vaporizing what remains of the once proud vessel. Vexorian stares in disbelief, feeling a pain in his thorax where his primary heart constricts. In the space of minutes, a third of his invasion force, including his only offspring, has been reduced to expanding debris fields. "Impossible," Trazek whispers beside him. "The intelligence assessments were wrong," Vexorian finishes, grief transforming to cold rage. He activates the fleet-wide communication system. "All vessels, battle formation, Xanthar offensive. Prepare for full engagement." In Shield Command, Dr. Vasquez and General Chen watch the Martian defense unfold with clinical detachment. Phase 1 complete, Chen reports. 35% of the invasion force neutralized. Vexorian is repositioning his remaining vessels for a concentrated assault. "Just as we predicted," Vasquez nods. "Colonel Williams, initiate Phase 2. Let's show Commander Vexorian exactly what he's dealing with." Supreme Overlord, Xanthar's inner sanctum aboard the hegemony capital ship, Eternal Dominion falls silent as the emergency transmission from Vexorian concludes. The assembled High Command stares at the holographic display where moments before they had witnessed the destruction of a significant portion of their invasion fleet. "Impossible," Grand Strategist Krall whispers, his normally commanding voice reduced to a rasp. "The intelligence assessments were comprehensive. They have no technology capable of." "Yet they do," Xanthar interrupts, all 4 eyes narrowing dangerously. His upper appendages twitch with barely controlled rage as he turns to Intelligence Director Moxby. "Explain." The Intelligence Director's skin pales to a sickly yellow. "Sovereign One, I can offer no explanation. Our scout vessels reported accurately on the human technological level. Their most advanced vehicles use primitive combustion propulsion. Their weapons rely on chemical explosives and rudimentary projectiles. They have no significant presence beyond their lunar satellite." "Then how," Xanthar hisses, rising to his full height, "do they possess phase-shifting weaponry and planetary defense systems that our sensors fail to detect?" Before Moxby can respond, a junior communications officer enters the chamber, approaching with the cautious deference required in the presence of the Supreme Overlord. "Forgive the intrusion, Sovereign One. We have completed analysis of the attack methodology." The officer extends a data crystal. "The humans appear to have intimate knowledge of our shield frequencies and defensive configurations. Their weapons were specifically designed to exploit our vulnerabilities." Xanthar accepts the crystal, inserting it into the central console. The holographic display shifts, showing detailed analysis of the human counterattack. This level of specific adaptation suggests prior access to our technology. "The scout ships," Krall realizes suddenly. "We assumed those that failed to return were lost to navigational errors or technical malfunctions. They were captured," Xanthar concludes, anger giving way to cold calculation. For how long have the humans been aware of our existence? How many of our vessels have they studied? And most importantly, what else have they prepared? Meanwhile, in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s command center, Dr. Maya Williams leads a team analyzing the hegemony's battle communications. As head of TENUP psychology, she has spent 15 years studying the psychological profiles of various hegemony species, particularly their leadership caste. They're regrouping, she notes, watching the fleet movements on the tactical display. But there's something interesting in their communication patterns. Explain, Dr. Vasquez prompts. The command structure is becoming more centralized. Vexorian is taking direct control of individual battle groups, rather than allowing his sub-commanders tactical autonomy. Maya points to several data points on her tablet. This indicates he no longer trusts the intelligence he was given. He's adapting, but their species has a psychological vulnerability. When faced with unexpected resistance, they tend to fall back on overwhelming force rather than strategic adaptation. General Chen nods thoughtfully. Can we exploit this? We already are, Maya confirms with professional satisfaction. Our Mars defense was deliberately designed to be impressive, but ultimately limited in scope. Vexorian now believes he's seen our primary defensive capability. Through secure communication channels, reports flow in from Earth's concealed defenses throughout the solar system. The quantum entanglement network, impossible to detect or intercept using hegemony technology, allows instantaneous coordination between all S.H.I.E.L.D. facilities. In a meeting room adjacent to the main command center, a group of beings that would shock most of Earth's population works diligently at specialized terminals. These are defectors from the hegemony. Scientists, engineers, and former military officers who discovered the truth about their empire's conquests and chose to help humanity prepare. Krexlar, once a S.H.I.E.L.D. engineer in the hegemony fleet, reviews defensive telemetry from the Mars engagement. Their adaptive shielding is already reconfiguring to resist the phase-shifting missiles. He reports, his translator converting his native clicks and whistles to English. As expected, they'll have countermeasures within 12 hours, which is why we won't be using the same weapons twice, responds his human colleague, Dr. Leilon Doi. Operation Solar Flare uses an entirely different approach. On the main tactical display, the surviving hegemony vessels consolidate into a tighter formation, clearly preparing for a concentrated assault on Mars. What they don't realize is that the Red Planet's defenses were never meant to stop them, merely to shake their response. Commander Vexorian stands motionless on his bridge, staring at the tactical display where his daughter's ship had been. Though hegemony culture discourages familial attachments among the warrior caste, Vexorilia had been exceptional, the continuation of his genetic lineage, and a promising officer. The fleet is assembled in formation. Trizek reports, awaiting your command. Vexorian's compound eyes shift, focusing on the image of Earth visible in the distance, a blue marble suspended in darkness. These humans, he says quietly, they knew we were coming. They prepared specifically for our technologies, our tactics. A lucky adaptation, Trizek suggests, though without conviction. No, Vexorian replies. This was deliberate. Send a message to Supreme Overlord Xanthar. Inform him that we are dealing with a species far more dangerous than our intelligence suggested. Request reinforcements. He turns to his weapons officer. Prepare all remaining vessels for coordinated barrage. Target the Martian defense installations with our entire arsenal. I want that planet's surface sterilized. In S.H.I.E.L.D. Command, General Chen watches the hegemony fleet repositioning. They're preparing for an all-out assault on Mars. Good, Dr. Vasquez replies with a cold smile. Colonel Williams, begin evacuation procedures. Operation Red Sands has served its purpose. Beneath the Martian surface, personnel board transport vessels as automated systems prepare to maintain the illusion of resistance for as long as possible. The real battle, everyone knows, was never meant to be fought at Mars. Lieutenant Jessica Okonkwo runs through final pre-flight checks in her XF-89 Raptor, the most advanced fighter craft ever produced by human hands. Hidden beneath the lunar surface for nearly a decade, the Raptor Squadron represents Earth's true striking capability, not the decoy defenses at Mars designed to shape the enemy's approach. Eagle Squadron, Comcheck. She broadcasts, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. One by one, her pilots respond, 24 of Earth's finest combat aviators selected from every major nation. They've trained together for years in secret, using simulators based on recovered hegemony technology. Remember your training, Jessica continues, sensing the tension. Their ships are faster in straight-line acceleration, but our fighters have superior maneuverability in gravity wells. Use that to your advantage. Through her canopy, she watches as the massive hangar doors begin to slide open above, revealing the star-filled blackness of space. Similar scenes unfold across the lunar surface as hidden installations activate after years of dormancy. Captain Raj Patel, her wingman, opens a private channel. Nervous, Lieutenant? Not nervous, she replies with a half-smile. Just focused. My grandfather flew in the Battle of Britain. Said the worst part was the waiting. Well, the waiting's over, Raj responds as their squadron receives the launch authorization. We're making history today. One by one, the fighters rise silently from the lunar surface, thrusters glowing with exotic energy as they form up in attack position. Across the lunar sphere, hundreds of similar craft emerge from concealed hangars, their stealth systems rendering them nearly invisible to conventional sensors. Commander Vexorian watches with grim satisfaction as his fleet unleashes its full arsenal against the Martian defense grid. The planet's surface erupts with explosions as hegemony weapons find their targets, systematically eliminating the resistance that had decimated his vanguard. Defensive installations at 60% capacity and falling, reports his tactical officer. We are detecting evacuation vessels launching from concealed hangars. Intercept them, Vexorian orders coldly. No survivors. The command ship's sensors suddenly blare warnings. Commander, the sensor officer calls out, mandibles clicking in alarm. Multiple energy signatures activating behind us. Vexorian spins toward the tactical display. Where moments before there had been only the barren lunar surface, hundreds of small craft now appear, approaching rapidly from Earth's satellite. Impossible. Trazek whispers. Our scans showed no military installations on their moon. Before Vexorian can respond, a second alarm sounds. Energy signatures detected in Earth orbit. Their defensive satellites are transforming. Throughout Earth's orbit, what had appeared to be conventional communications satellites and scientific platforms begin to change. Panels unfold to reveal weapon systems, stealth fields deactivate, and concealed engines ignite as the planet's true defensive grid activates. The International Space Station, long believed to be a primitive scientific outpost, undergoes the most dramatic transformation. Massive sections previously hidden by holographic camouflage materialize around the known structure, revealing a fully operational battle station at the heart of Earth's orbital defense network. From the oceans below, massive vessels break the surface, carrier submarines housing hypersonic aircraft designed for atmospheric and near-space combat. The skies above major cities shimmer as advanced stealth fields deactivate, revealing hovering defense platforms that had been hidden in plain sight for years. In SHIELD Command, Dr. Vasquez watches the deployment with tightly controlled triumph. All defense grids online, orbital platforms at full operational capacity, atmospheric interceptors launching. General Chen studies the tactical display showing the converging blue indicators of Earth's forces surrounding the red mass of the hegemony fleet. Lieutenant Okonkwo, you are cleared to engage. Weapons free. Jessica acknowledges the order, then addresses her squadron. Eagle Squadron, weapons free. Primary targets are their escort vessels and support craft. Wolf Squadron will handle their heavy cruisers. The lunar fighters accelerate toward the hegemony fleet, still partially focused on bombarding Mars. The element of surprise gives them a critical advantage as they close to attack range. Remember, aim for their propulsion systems and sensor arrays, Jessica reminds her pilots. Their shields are optimized against energy weapons, not our kinetic penetrators. The first wave of Earth fighters strikes the hegemony fleet from behind. Hundreds of kinetic projectiles, accelerated to near-relativistic speeds, slamming into alien vessels before they can reorient their shields. Ships rupture and explode as the specialized ammunition, designed to fragment inside enemy vessels for maximum damage, finds its targets. Aboard his command ship, Vexorian struggles to comprehend the rapidly deteriorating situation. All vessels, defensive formation, he orders. Redirect shields to rear quadrants. But the humans' attack comes from multiple vectors simultaneously, the fighter craft from the moon, the orbital defense grid, and now atmosphere-capable interceptors rising from Earth itself. The hegemony's tactical doctrine, evolved over centuries of one-sided conquests, has no contingency for such a comprehensive defensive response. They were waiting for us, Vexorian realizes aloud. This entire time, they knew we were coming and prepared specifically for our arrival. On the tactical display, he watches as his fleet, supposedly the pinnacle of hegemony military technology, is systematically dismantled by human forces using combat maneuvers that demonstrate not just technological parity, but tactical superiority. Lieutenant Okonkwo's Raptor screams through the debris field of a destroyed hegemony cruiser, her targeting system already locking onto her next objective. Eagle 6 and 7, form on me. We're going after their command communications array. As the three fighters bank toward their target, Jessica glimpses Earth through her canopy. The blue planet serene against the chaos of battle surrounding it. For a brief moment, despite the intensity of combat, she feels a surge of pride. Today, humanity has revealed its true face to the stars, and that face is not one of submission. Commander Vexorian stands amid the chaos of his damaged bridge, emergency lighting casting harsh shadows across the scene of destruction. Status reports flood in from the remnants of his once proud fleet, 3/4 of his vessels destroyed or disabled. The survivors fighting a losing battle against Earth's unexpectedly formidable defenses. Tactical assessment, he demands, his voice eerily calm despite the circumstances. Trazek, injured but functional, studies the holographic display. We cannot win this engagement, Commander. Recommend immediate withdrawal to regroup with the main hegemony fleet. Vexorian stares at the tactical projection, where the blue dot representing Earth pulses serenely. The humans had deceived them completely, hiding their true technological capabilities, allowing the hegemony to believe they were an easy conquest, then springing a trap centuries in the making. No, he decides, grief and rage crystallizing into cold purpose. Evacuation protocols for all surviving vessels. Transfer essential personnel to this command ship. Trazek's compound eyes widen in recognition. Commander, the protocols of last resort require authorization from. I am invoking emergency command authority. Vexorian interrupts. The hegemony must be warned about this species, their deception, their technological level, their combat tactics. All of it suggests a threat greater than any we have encountered in millennia. As his officers carry out his orders, Vexorian retreats to his private terminal, inputting his genetic code and command authorization. The ship's computer responds with a warning screen, requiring additional confirmation for the protocol he has initiated. Reconfigure the flagship's primary power core for maximum yield, he commands. Divert all non-essential power to propulsion and forward shields. The computer processes his orders, displaying schematics of the massive antimatter core at the heart of the vessel. Normally stable and contained within multiple safeguards, the reconfiguration he has ordered will transform the ship into a devastating weapon, one capable of rendering half of Earth uninhabitable when detonated in its atmosphere. In Shield Command, alarm indicators flash across multiple screens. Director calls out the sensor technician. We're detecting massive energy fluctuations in the Hegemony Command vessel. They're reconfiguring their power core. Dr. Vasquez approaches the station, studying the readings with narrowed eyes. Analysis. Consistent with preparation for a suicide strike, the technician responds grimly. If that vessel detonates in our atmosphere, I know the consequences. Vasquez interrupts. She opens a secure channel. General Chen, the Hegemony flagship is preparing for a spite strike. Recommend immediate activation of Operation Solar Flare. Chen's face appears on the communication screen, his expression grim. Confirmed. Solar Flare authorization granted by presidential order. Synchronizing countdown with your command center. Throughout the solar system, the massive energy collection arrays positioned around the sun begin their final alignment. Disguised for decades as scientific research instruments, these colossal structures represent the pinnacle of human engineering, capable of harnessing and directing the sun's energy with pinpoint precision. In her fighter craft, Lieutenant Okonkwo receives new orders through the quantum entanglement communicator. Eagle Squadron, priority alert. Disengage and clear the operational zone immediately. Operation Solar Flare is commencing. Jessica acknowledges, then broadcasts to her pilots. All Eagles, emergency withdrawal. Form up at Lunar Checkpoint Bravo. This is not a drill. As Earth's fighters and defensive vessels rapidly withdraw to predetermined safe positions, Vexorian watches with confusion. They're retreating. Trazik observes. Perhaps they've exhausted their resources. No, Vexorian replies, instincts honed by decades of combat screaming warning. They're clearing the engagement zone. Something is coming. His sensor officer confirms this moments later. Commander, massive energy spike detected near the inner planet. The tactical display shifts to show the impossible focused beams of solar energy being redirected from massive collectors orbiting the system's star, converging toward a precisely calculated point in space. Maximum acceleration. Vexorian orders. We need to reach atmosphere deployment range. But the command comes too late. The collected solar energy, focused through gravitational lenses and quantum accelerators, strikes the Hegemony fleet like divine judgment. Ship after ship is overwhelmed, shields collapsing under energy levels they were never designed to withstand. Protected by emergency shielding diverted from its reconfigured power core, Vexorian's flagship alone survives the initial blast, though severely damaged. Propulsion systems failing but still operational, the vessel continues its suicide trajectory toward Earth. In Shield Command, Dr. Vasquez watches the solar flare operation conclude, satisfied with its effectiveness. All targets neutralized except the flagship, reports the tactical officer. It remains on course for atmospheric entry, ETA 12 minutes. Projected impact, Chen asks. Eastern seaboard of North America. Potential casualties in the millions. Vasquez's expression hardens. She turns to Dr. Tanaka, who has joined them from his facility in Japan. Is the quantum entanglement device ready? The physicist nods once. We've never tested it on an object of this mass, but the calculations are sound. We'll need precise targeting parameters. You'll have them, Vasquez promises, turning to her communications officer. Open a channel to the Hegemony flagship. I want to speak with Commander Vexorian. On the shattered bridge of his dying vessel, Vexorian is surprised when the communication system activates, displaying the face of a human female, middle-aged by their standards, with silver-streaked dark hair and eyes that reflect a cold intelligence. Commander Vexorian. She addresses him in perfect Hegemony standard, shocking him further. This is Dr. Elena Vasquez, Director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Your vessel will not reach Earth. Surrender now, and we will spare the lives of your remaining crew. Vexorian studies the human with newfound respect and deepening dread. You speak our language. You know our names. How long have you been preparing for this day, human? Longer than you might believe, she responds. This is your final warning, Commander. The choice is yours. Vexorian's mandibles click in what passes for bitter laughter among his kind. There is no choice. The Hegemony must know what awaits them here. His voice rises, projecting what dignity remains to him. You may destroy us today, but the hegemony will return with a force that will blot out your sun. Dr. Vasquez's expression doesn't change. We'll be waiting. She terminates the connection, then turns to Dr. Tanaka. Activate the quantum entanglement device. Commander Vexorian experiences a moment of disorientation as the universe seems to fold around him. One instant, he stands on the bridge of his flagship, hurtling toward Earth with vengeful purpose. The next, he finds himself in a pristine white room, gravity slightly heavier than he's accustomed to, surrounded by humans in uniform and scientific attire. "Welcome to Earth, Commander," says the woman he recognizes as Dr. Vasquez. "I apologize for the discomfort. Quantum translocation can be disorienting the first time." Stunned into silence, Vexorian's compound eyes scan the room, identifying General Chen, President Adebayo, and several other humans whose insignia mark them as leaders. His warrior's instinct assesses potential threats, escape routes, weapons, but he quickly realizes the futility of resistance. "My ship," he finally manages, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Secured," Vasquez replies. "Your crew has been transported to containment facilities where they will be treated humanely. Your vessel's antimatter core has been neutralized." President Adebayo steps forward. "Commander Vexorian, I am Amara Adebayo, President of the United Earth Coalition. We have much to discuss." "You speak as if I have a choice in the matter." Vexorian responds bitterly. "Everyone has choices," she counters. "Yours is whether to learn from this encounter or cling to the false assumptions that led to your defeat." She gestures toward a transparent wall that Vexorian had assumed was decorative. As the opacity adjusts, he realizes it's a window overlooking an enormous hangar. In the center sits his flagship, surrounded by vessels of clearly human design, but far more advanced than anything the hegemony believed them capable of producing. "This is just one of our facilities," General Chen explains, noting Vexorian's shock. "We could have destroyed your entire fleet without revealing a fraction of our true capabilities, but we chose to minimize casualties." In the following days, Vexorian is shown evidence that systematically dismantles everything he believed about humans and his own empire. Records from captured scout ships reveal how Earth had manipulated hegemony intelligence for decades. Archaeological evidence demonstrates that humans had first encountered alien technology in 1947 when a damaged hegemony scout crashed in New Mexico. "We learned of your empire's existence and its practices," Dr. Vasquez explains during one session. "We made a collective decision to hide our technological advancement while preparing for inevitable contact." Most disturbing to Vexorian are the classified hegemony records that human intelligence had somehow obtained, documents revealing the true fate of conquered species, the exploitation of their worlds, and the fabricated justifications presented to hegemony citizens. "Your leadership has lied to your people for generations," Dr. Tanaka tells him gently. "Many of your own kind have defected to us after learning the truth." As evidence of his worldview's collapse, Vexorian is introduced to Krexler and other former hegemony citizens who now work alongside humans. Their stories of discovering the truth and choosing to help Earth prepare its defenses shake him to his core. 1 week after his capture, Vexorian is brought to a communication center where his flagship's systems have been integrated with Earth technology. President Adebayo addresses him formally. "Commander, we are prepared to send a message to your supreme overlord. You may observe or participate as you choose." Vexorian studies her face, searching for deception, but finding none. "What message do you intend to send?" "The truth," she replies simply. The transmission activates, connecting directly to the Hegemony Council chamber, where Supreme Overlord Xanthar awaits news of Earth's conquest. Instead, he receives footage of the battle, evidence of Earth's technological prowess, and most damaging, unaltered records of the hegemony's own atrocities against conquered worlds. The message concludes with President Adebayo's calm statement: "We have mapped every hegemony world. We possess the capability to strike any of them at will. Yet we offer peace instead of retribution. The choice is yours. Included in the transmission is evidence of the hegemony leadership's corruption and lies to their own people. On dozens of hegemony worlds, the unedited broadcast triggers immediate civil unrest as citizens confront the truth about their empire. Supreme Overlord Xanthar, faced with both external threat and internal collapse, reluctantly agrees to diplomatic relations. 6 months later, humans arrive at the hegemony capital world, not as conquered subjects, but as the architects of a reformed interstellar community. In the observation lounge of Earth's first official embassy ship, Dr. Vasquez stands beside General Chen, watching as they approach the massive space station that serves as the headquarters of the newly formed Galactic Cooperative. "My grandfather would never have believed this," Chen remarks quietly. When he helped recover that crashed scout ship in 1947, he thought it meant the end of humanity. Instead, it guaranteed our survival. Vasquez replies, "We've been ready for this moment for generations. The real work begins now." Below them, in the ship's secure laboratory section, a team of Earth's most brilliant minds continues work on technology that will not merely reach the stars, but transcend them entirely, capabilities beyond even what they had revealed to defeat the hegemony fleet. As the first human ambassador prepares to address the assembled representatives of 38 species, Earth takes its place among the stars, not as the primitive world the hegemony expected to conquer, but as the hidden power that had been waiting for its moment to emerge.